it's Laura from Homeschooling with Classic Stories. And so today I wanted to tell you what we do for vacations, holidays, just generally time away from schooling. So, like, this is in comparison to the normal homeschooling or even private schooling, I guess more brick and mortar system of taking summers off, or like with year-round schooling, having a segment and then taking 2 weeks off. But what I wanted to talk about was what we do for homeschooling in regards to taking those sorts of times off. And, just as a quick spoiler alert, I would say that we don't generally, but I'm also going to couch that with a caveat of course, we do all the fun things that normal families do. We just don't really characterize it in the same way as time away from school. And so I wanted to give you some examples today about what that really looks like and what that really means. So the first example is this week in our current country, it was a major holiday. It's probably their largest holiday. And so most of the kids in the neighborhood are out of school and visiting relatives, and it's a very long holiday. It's a 3-day holiday, but since it was put with the weekend, it turned out to be a 5-day holiday as a result. So because of that, my son knew that things were different because obviously there's a holiday. He wasn't able to go to his Taekwondo classes, for example. And also his younger brother was not going to daycare, and so his brother was home all week as well. So he knew that there was a holiday being observed, and we talked about it and some of the traditions around it, even though they aren't our traditions. So he knew that a holiday was occurring. But that didn't mean that we stopped school. It just meant that we did school a little differently. So normally we have a rather regimented schedule. Not strictly regimented, but in the sense that one thing follows another throughout a schedule. Um, but it's not really a schedule to time. This week, we did things in a bit more relaxed of a way, more of a when things were possible, we did them. So, as an example, my youngest being here, it meant that we waited until he took a nap. And so, when he took a nap, that's when we started with the schooling style of activities. It also meant that I left out more invitational playthings than I normally would. So, like every night, we have a large whiteboard. I would draw like a picture for him to copy in the morning, just something like delightful with the words spelled out across the top. And I left more like little books around and things for him to play with. So schooling still happened. It just happened to look differently than the way that it normally looks. So even though a holiday was happening, we still kept on with our normal amount of things that we did. We just had to sort of circumvent some of the timing issues. So that's what we did as far as having a holiday here. As far as holidays that we do celebrate, so for example, we are about to celebrate Canadian Thanksgiving. So um, on Mondays, he normally does some like he reads his story and he does an activity surrounding it. So to celebrate Canadian Thanksgiving, we don't really take a pause from that. We just kind of add on the holiday onto what we're normally doing. So we still do all the normal stuff. We'll still read the story. He'll still do his puzzles. We'll still do a board game. All of those things will still occur. We just kind of put it within the context of the holiday as well. So we talk about, oh, today's a holiday and this is what we're doing. He will help me with the cooking to the extent that he can. Um, but we still engage in the holiday fully, but also with schooling happening at the same time. Similarly, like Halloween, Christmas, that sort of thing. We still celebrate those days. Those days still happen. We just sort of do it all in that day. Um, I would not say that there are days that we miss, but there are days where we shift around. So, like, for example, if we get really busy one day, then it's totally okay to just move it over to the next day. That's totally fine. We do kind of look at our plan as a week rather than as a plan for the day. So if something is happening, if kids are having fun, if we have places to go, especially that are not conducive to us doing whatever school thing is meant for the day, then we just sort of, let it go for that day and then maybe work on it the next day, or I might work on it on the weekend, which we don't normally do things on the weekend. So um, that's sort of the idea there. So that's holidays. As far as vacations, we do also take vacations, not right now because of COVID, um, but our preferred vacations, this is going to make me sound really terrible. Our preferred vacations are to either go on a cruise or go to a Disney park. I think that that probably says more about where we are in life as a family. I don't know. But anyway, as a result of those being our two vacation styles, they also sort of help promote learning. And so, while we do continue with the idea of schooling, we kind of change our view on schooling. Um, so, my husband and I both really feel that learning can happen anywhere. So, for example, when we're on a cruise, they have the particular cruise line we like to go on has like a kids program called Adventure Ocean, and they do activities and science and arts and go to puppet shows and that sort of thing. So that's all his school. That's the school that he does for that day. We do tend to bring a book, but like we'll read it at night or in the morning or something before we go, before we head out of the cabin for the day. But it doesn't have we don't have school in the sense that it looks the same that it looks at home, because of course it won't. We're on vacation, it's not going to look the same, but we do sort of look for things that are school. So just because he's not studying right now, we're studying Beatrix Potter. So if we were on a cruise right now, um, just because maybe we're not studying with a focus on Beatrix Potter stories, he's still learning things. So that's how we sort of talk about schooling everywhere. Similarly, at Disney, whichever the Disney parks we're at, there's map reading that goes on. There's math that goes on with adding up the prices of different things, especially in different currencies, depending on where we are. There is talking about time to see the characters and fast passes and all of that sort of thing. So there are learning opportunities no matter where you go, and that's still part of school. So even if it's not the normal routine that you're super familiar with, kind of having the mindset of I'm always looking for opportunities to engage in schooling. It's the same thing that you probably already do on a smaller scale with your daily life. So if you get on a bus, if you go to the grocery store, if you're running any kind of errand, you're probably already engaging your child in learning, but just making sure that you recognize that as school, that's sort of a change in mindset to saying, uh, schooling happens all the time. We don't need a break from learning. There's no real reason that you take a break in learning when even as adults we're still learning things every day. So I don't really see a point to telling my child specifically today not going to learn anything. So that moment never really happens. So I'm not suggesting that public schoolers do that either, but I do think that there's some sort of disconnect of like I remember as a child, oh, I'm on spring break now, so I'm gonna sit and not learn anything. Um, when in reality, I was still learning things. It was just I was learning things of my own choosing, and so it was a different learning skill. So that being said, we are not taking any vacations in for a while, it seems. So we aren't really worried about the idea of vacations. We will probably take some time at Christmas. We might not take time at Halloween, but all that that means for taking time is just we'll probably shift around some things. So no vacations, but definitely yes to the holidays. So that's it for what we are doing for vacations and for kind of off school times. We don't have them. So anyway, I will see you in the next video for next week. Have a nice day.